Hi, I'm Tom Blamain. Welcome to Graffiti. Today we're going to read some poems from this newly published book from Pennsylvania State University called Commonwealth, Pennsylvania Poets. Quite a few regional poets are featured in this anthology, and as you'll see, some very interesting and compelling work. But to read this, let's go outside and do it. I'm going to read a poem called Coal Crackers by James Hawk. They've seen God's black mouth at the end of a mountain road, the cindered tongue slag down through woods thick with crows. They've watched the hunger feed on women, suns glazed in sadness, mornings the color left in a shower, taken daily into the shaft house like pills. They move as if once pianos were tied around their waists, a rope reaching back into the hills, as if their voices, high loners, were something of his. As if rain-heavy dark still fell on roofs like tiny hammers. That's the poem Coal Crackers by James Hawk. I'm going to read a poem now called Mountain Night by a poet named Berwin Moore. This mountain steals the night from my body. The blue trees sway and the milky-eyed moon cowers under a cloud. I touch the stones at my feet, read the names with my fingers like braille. A man in my room is writing a poem about a woman thinking of death. The moon slides in, blue trees, the moan of a mourning dove. The woman carries a stone to her grave, and the man leads her to a lake where she sees the faces of her dead children in the reflection. She thinks about the man reconstructing the stories of her life, a garden wild with weeds, aging dogs, and the house she imagines that will keep her children safe. But when she turns to thank him, he is a shadow among the trees. The sky deepens with dawn. I walk to my room with a stone, the window open to the chill, papers fluttering. I let the children sleep and collect kindling for the fire. That's the poem Mountain Night by Berwin Moore. This is a poem entitled Sprawl by Anne E. Michael. This road winds through low hills I remember seeing outfitted in shawls of green corn or tatty threads of grayish-yellow stubble with a hawk circling above. Now, 14 large houses gleam baldly in January's harsh light, an impertinence about them. Cornfields live with transients, the same unsettledness looks unsympathetic in a field of houses, unprotected somehow by the brick face and siding, no hawk circles above. I want my house to feel settled in the midst of toads, muskrats, kestrels, to feel the shelter of corn and woodlots, to be sought by the soft brown whispering bats, to accept the transient nature of earth's wild things, belonging as it must among them. That's the poem Sprawl by Anne E. Michael. I'm going to read a poem now called Photograph by the poet Anthony Petrosky. Through rain I see huge moonless spaces, intricate scars in the earth, a fine thread of water. Two voices in the clouded space name the planets, the moon, the earth. Post-war mining town, the color of stone and Kodachrome, fades into the woman's eyes. They're there in Exeter, Pennsylvania, counting, chanting in Lithuanian, the names of mines and mills with the same slow song that seeps through the dark tunnels. So this is the way silent things speak. Who told the stars their names? Certainly not the man in the photograph, too long in paper mills, where only the stars are in his swollen eyes. There is little to be said for that misguided winter when my father went to work in the mills. That's the poem Photograph by Anthony Petrosky. I'm going to read a poem now called Pleasure Gap by a poet named Bruce Bond. The fireworks over Pleasure Gap beat the black drum of the South, and boys look up into the face of the falling order. Neighbors wander out of cop shows into the dark parking lot, watching. Strangers, mostly. They stand in vague gatherings. The man who sleeps there lifts his thermos so far and does not drink. People pause on the descending sighs, half mint, just this side of their own flesh. To see the rocket split apart like that, crumpling into their light, filling up the lungs of August. It's all the streets can do to resist. Joy pounds the tenement doors. The lady upstairs we know by the sound of her parrot, her keys, the bad radio. She too has come out, down 3 flights into the street. You can see her holding her robe shut under the hotel sign, blue and flashing. That's the poem Pleasure Gap by Bruce Bond. This is a poem by Craig Chury entitled March 10th, 1951. The women broke their backs from the weight of their bitter hearts. What was left me by age, birthright, handed me through time. The men hoisted tack to sticks in front of the main gate, later set them down too and drove home to sleep forever. I inherited the pigeons. I inherited the black star hole through each one of these window panes. Dust, thick air in the throat of abandoned space. I inherited your abandoned space like a heavy rusting door. Your vacated spools, looms shut down and silent your years. I inherited your hours and gnawing sense. Something's gone. That's Craig Chury's poem, March 10th, 1951. This is my poem from the anthology called So the Coal Was Gone. So the coal was gone and the county froze, scarred from the scraping, poisoned by the sulfur, and children drown where they swim in the summer that heats the rank river. A dirty carpet over the hills unrolled, the miner's helmet old and rusted. So calm mountains and slag bear scrub growth now all along the highway that runs right through. Passengers in cars sense malodor through windows closed for the passing, asking, where is this on the map? Which black dot? So black lung is a pension coughing in the streets where nurses walk and watch their feet past the bars that still, for a dime, offer the past and various ways to forget. So kids know anthracite by its name and throw chunks of it at passers-by laughing on the railroad tracks and at the caboose going by the city, slower than the rest of the world. This last poem is called Confession Off the Lake by George Looney. When the sky goes flat, the lake clams up. In the middle of the one about the 2-year-old found burned. Arson, the local news said. Ashes return nothing to wind, the wind thought lost. No fool, this lake. Guilt is a question it won't ask. Whether fishermen fish this storm or drink their hearts to calm in some collapsing bar is no evidence. There is fear in every house built this close to water. The father, it said, set the blaze, his heart as weak as memory's loyalty to what happened. The lake can't heal anything. No drunks drink in the ruin of a bar built out over sour fish and waste. The heart is too prone to water damage. Ghosts of ore freighters chained to what passes for docks confuse the wind enough it gives up and heads south. I'd rather not have to hear about this frayed woman weeping over a small charred body, but the gulls tell everything. Their voices never break. That's the poem Confession Off the Lake by George Looney. We've been reading from this anthology, Commonwealth, published just a couple of months ago this year by Pennsylvania State University Press. Hope you've enjoyed our edition of Graffiti. I'm Tom Blomain. See ya.